Hello, everyone, and welcome back. What you're seeing is some photos from Facebook Marketplace of a massive 60 long box collection that our good friend Bob Barker from the video The Hottest Comic Book Collection I've Ever Seen informed me of. Luckily, I haven't burned every bridge with my Sticky Goose Comics YouTube channel. I've actually made some friends, and they kind of let me know if there are collections near me. And this was a super local collection for me, about a 20-minute drive. And this collection was in the hands of a 14 or 15-year-old kid. So you're probably scratching your head, what the heck is this? Well, I make the little trip 20 miles north, and I end up in this young man's bedroom, which is a really weird thing to say, but I am in this kid's bedroom, and I'm looking at this massive comic book collection that is literally like surrounding his bed. It's like blocking off so he can go over there and like work out, and it was very strange and very funny, but it was an incredible collection. So right off the bat, when I first started talking to this kid, it was very difficult to try to set up a time because he had teenager things he needed to do, like basketball practice and stuff. So what I did was, I had Mother Goose, my wife, message him, and I was like, "Well, he's going to respond to this, this hot mom message him about his comic book collection." And sure enough, the kid was like, "What time you want to meet? This is where I live. This is what time." And it was funny because it was like, you know, it was funny because when I showed up at the door, it's like I was, he's probably expecting like hot young Mother Goose to show up, but in reality, it was just ugly ass me there. But anyway, I go in, and it's always awkward a little bit going into people's houses and like looking at stuff. And I didn't wear my strap on, right off the bat. Of course, I asked to film. They had no problem with any of that. Super nice people. So if you're expecting regular Sticky Goose affair of me bashing or talking crap, it's not going to happen because these people were extremely nice. And I got possibly one of the best deals I've ever gotten in my comic book collecting career. So if you're noticing anything weird about this collection right off the bat, is all the duplicates. There's multiple packages of books of the same issue all packed together. This is how comic book shops back in the 90s, I know they don't get their books like this today, but back in the 90s, I think they got these books like bundled together like that, where there was 3 or 4 facing one way and then one facing the other way so you knew what was in it. When I first walked into this room, it was extremely overwhelming because of just the sheer number. And I got there around 5:30 in the afternoon, and it was kind of one of those things where it was like I could have spent 8 to 10 hours going through this, but I was able to go through 90% of this collection. So I was there for around 2 hours, and I was kind of like not wanting to overstay my welcome because they were like having dinner, and I was in this kid's room, and he probably wanted to get back in his room, and it was just like I was trying to do this as quickly as possible. Huge long boxes of duplicate issues. Wizard magazine, here's a huge example, and if you saw from the previous long boxes I just showed, like huge runs of Ghost Rider 31, first full appearance of Midnight Suns. That's the Midnight Suns. That's what that team is. And then big runs of that. And then I stumble on this. Wizard number 1. It's kind of like wrinkled up on the corners, and it was in like a weird bag, but I was like, here we go. So how I kind of tackled this was just long box by long box. The lighting in this room was very poor, so I'm like having to hold my phone flashlight while trying to film, so the lighting in this is not going to be very good. The first thing I automatically see is this is a collection from the 90s. Like, this is from 92, 93 possibly. And other things I'm seeing is there are certain books that are not here, like from that time period that should be here. So sure enough, I'm not the first person to have gotten into this collection. Apparently what happened was this kid has had this on Facebook for a while. I don't know how long, but he had bought this or was given this for free. I'm getting conflicting information here, but he got this like over the summer. I don't know where he got it. I don't know where this thing came from, but this was obviously coming out of a comic book store that closed up or was trying to get rid of stuff. And it ended up in this kid's hands. So when I walked back there, like, I was not the first middle-aged balding man that had gone to this house to look for comic book treasures. There was apparently somebody from Georgia, a guy from Charleston, West Virginia, multiple guys locally in southern West Virginia. I mean, somebody literally drove from Georgia to West Virginia to come see this thing. So I knew that if there was anybody that was willing to make that kind of drive, it's more than likely this has been picked clean, but it hadn't. Stick around to the end to see what we got, but this collection had not been completely picked. And you could tell, like, certain runs that should have been there. For example, Venom Lethal Protector. That should have been there. That should have been there. X Factor or X Force number 8, first domino or whatever. And I'm in the X Force there, and the yellow kind of caught my eye. None of those were there. No X-Men number 1s, Jim Lee X-Men. None of that was there. No X-Men number 4, First Omega Red. None of those. So it was like, okay, obviously somebody had gotten in here and gotten that stuff. Well, later on, after I had left, or as I was leaving, I was talking to the dad and talking to the son, and he had pulled one book out for himself, and it was a Venom Lethal Protector number 1 gold variant, retailer variant. I don't know how many Venom Lethal Protector number 1s you had to buy to get that, but it was in high grade, and that's kind of a rare book. So I was glad that he was holding on to that, but that was found in just a long box. Like, that was not like set aside. That was not like a special book. That was just in a long box. So, you know, it was kind of driving me, like, there could still be something in here, something still passed over. But if any of you have ever dug through a 90s comic book collection, you know there are certain titles that are going to be there every single time. There's going to be a million Ghost Riders. There's going to be a million Silver Surfers. There's going to be a million Pit and Image stuff. But guess what there was none of? Spawn. There was no Spawn. I found, I think, like 6 or 7 issues of like Spawn number 23 in one of these long boxes, which obviously who's ever in here like missed those, because it seemed like they got every other Spawn issue in this whole collection. But you could tell, like, books like that, those should have been here. I started looking through this Aliens box, this Alien Predator, Terminator box. And I don't think First Aliens is in this time period, because I can't remember if that was like a little bit earlier in the 80s when First Aliens was in a comic. Then there was a Punisher short box. I'm looking for like Punisher War Journal. That's kind of one of my weaknesses as far as when I'm hunting, as far as time periods, because obviously this is a time period where this collection came out of. Like, I think certain books like War Journal #1, it's not going to be there. This was kind of cool, like a Dr. Dre rap sheet magazine. I'm not sure what that was. And then this was a Black Sabbath rock and roll magazine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. Toxic Crusaders #1, first appearance of the Toxic Crusaders, that team led by the Toxic Avenger. Another book that should have been there from like 92. First appearance of Toxic Avenger. None of them. And of course there was, I think this is Adventures of Superman #500, but there was no Death of Superman, which I think is in a black poly bag if I'm not mistaken. That Magneto #1, I don't know why I'm always drawn to that book. Most probably because I love Magneto and that cover kind of always stands out. I don't think that's Magneto's first solo series or anything. I don't even think it's a key. What made this collection pretty easy to dig through, thankfully, was multiple books bundled together. A lot of the Spider-Man had been picked clean. Like, I mean, there was some ASM, but realistically, there should have been an ASM 361 in there. You know, those Carnage books, that time period, none of that. Collector's edition with that blue would have been for Static Shock, the collector's edition version of that. None of that. Of course, there's just all this Darker Image, Max #1. There was, you could have put multiple runs of Max together in this, and I still need to read that because I've heard that it's very, very good. Star Wars, there should have been a lot of Dark Horse Star Wars books in here. There weren't. I think I found 4 or 5 Dark Horse Star Wars books. Thankfully, a majority, if not all of these books were high grade. So how these books would have been damaged would have been, they're getting like air getting to them, getting that staining on like the top of the book when they weren't completely sealed, when they were all bundled together, not in the poly bag. But all of these books that come in poly bags were still in the poly bags. So that means it still had the trading card, still had the poster. And if we know anything about the most famous poly bag issue, X-Force #1 with the Deadpool card, zero X-Force #1s. So whoever got in here took every single one of those. Savage Dragon #1. That's not the first appearance of Savage Dragon. That happened earlier in the 80s. And I can't remember what that was in, but that is not the first appearance of Savage Dragon. At this point, I'm like moving. I mean, you can see how many long boxes. This really gives you kind of a scope of what I was working with. I'm moving these things. I'm like sore today, like after filming this. Like I was making like a little pile. I was putting them over by the stairs. And obviously none of this was priced. So when I'm talking to this kid, he does not care about these comics. He doesn't want to know. He wants to, this was a money-making thing for him. He thought that he had a gold mine, and he wants to, so he had it listed on Facebook Marketplace. I'll give you a second to guess what he had it listed at. He had this listed for $6,500. It was originally $7,000. He dropped it to $6,500, which, I mean, there's a lot of books in here, but yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it would be a very, very specific person to want to buy all of this and not like dig through it. But I kind of was giving him advice, which I think every single old, balding, middle-aged man that came through here also gave the teenager advice about what to do with this, which is kind of funny. Like, here, let me pick through your collection, pick it clean, and then tell you what you should do. But that's what happened. And I told him, I was like, you need to take this to like a local show or like like a flea market or something and just say $1 a book or, 10 books for $8 or something. I don't know. But just like do that and you will make significantly more money than doing what you're doing now. But he's letting people come in here. He let me come in. He let me film, and I'm very appreciative of that. It's just, I'm telling you, that's going to be the best way to make money on this. All right, everybody, we are back at the Sticky Goose Man Cave, and we got a nice little haul. Probably one of the biggest hauls we've had in months, maybe a year. I got 3 copies of Wizard number 1 in high grade. Now, this book on Key Collector, they're saying this book's like $300 in high grade. Realistically, what I'm seeing on eBay is this book's going for like 40, 50 bucks raw. In high grade, that X-Men number 25 is when Magneto pulls out Wolverine's adamantium, and then Wolverine number 75 with the holofoil. That is when we know that the adamantium is on Wolverine's bones. X-Men 282, first Bishop, second print, gold version. Savage Dragon number 1, again, not the first appearance of Savage Dragon. The swimsuit issue, first J. Scott Campbell, art, Max number 1, Wildcats number 1, first Grifter, first Wildcats, that Star Wars book, Bane breaks Batman's back. I think this is the first print. This is Wizard number 11, so this is a Todd McFarlane Spawn cover. Every single one of these is a newsstand, and all of them polybagged, of course, with the trading card. I bought every single one of those I could find. When I'm looking at this, I'm like, when I have this many copies, think about how many copies of these books are out there. I mean, are there millions of these books? Possibly. Fantastic Four 358, first die cut Marvel book. Jurassic Park number 1, first Jurassic Park in comics, and they're all in the poly bag, and I think these come with a trading card too, just like everything. That was a 4-issue little series. I got all the number 4s I could find. Toxic Crusaders number 1. First appearance of this toxic team. There was no first toxic Avenger anywhere that I could find, which would have been a nice book. I'd like to have that in the collection. Just recently watched that movie. Freaking hilarious. That's like a must-watch movie. And then I bought all these Magnetos. I don't know why. Magneto number 0 or whatever. Youngblood number 2. This is the regular version. First appearance of the Prophet. And this is the variant with the pinkish red lettering. Ghost Rider 15. This is first glow-in-the-dark cover ever made. X-Men Adventures number 1. All of these are direct. Unfortunately, none of these were newsstands. It was very strange to see all those Wizard number 11s in newsstand because nothing else was, which lets me think that this was all direct to the comic book stores. Darker Image number 1. First appearance of all those characters. Was that like Wolf and I don't know. Batman Shadow of the Bat. This is the first Azaz, which is actually a really, kind of like a good Batman villain, a top 20 Batman villain in my mind. This is also a very good story if you've never read that. Ties into Nightfall. And then this was the big thing. The Ghost Rider number 31, first full appearance of the Midnight Suns. All in poly bags with the poster. And then, I don't even know how many of them there are. And then Midnight Suns Ghost Rider 28, first cameo Midnight Suns, first Lilith. I don't even know how many of those there were, all directs, all in poly bag with the poster. Guys, how much do you guys think I paid for this? I'll give you a minute. I paid $80 for all of these books. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If at any point in time you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.